There we go. Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Renegade Roundtable podcast. I am Jeffrey Kirby. Today, you could tell we have a special guest with us. It's not Caleb. He is not with us here again today, but he is coming back here very soon, so we're happy about that. But we do have the one and only Hunter Osborne with us. How are you doing today?
My man, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. So, this is his debut time here on the Renegade Roundtable podcast. And before I let you guys know a little bit more about Hunter, as you can tell, we are live on everything now. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitter. So make sure if you're in the comments, make sure you comment where you're from, what platform you're on right now. Something that we're going to be testing out a little bit more. But obviously, this is his first time here on the podcast. This is obviously not the first time me and Hunter have ever been together on a show. We did a show for a long time called the Jeff Kirby Project. But Hunter is a sports journalism student at The Ohio State. You always got to make sure you say that.
Always.
He's also one of my closest friends, basically a brother to me. And I'm happy. And he's also a big baseball enthusiast. Justin, you or something else. But obviously, this is he's also a big baseball guy, so which is kind of fitting for what we're going to be talking about today.
I can't stand him. I cannot stand Justin.
Obviously, also, we're going to be giving you guys some updates throughout from with the combine as well. If you see kind of like Hunter just kind of turning or whatever, he's watching the combine. So I currently do not have it on at the moment, but I probably should. But it is what it is. But we do have some stuff we got to get into here because the owners have officially started to cancel games.
Yeah.
First off, I just want your opinions. First off, as you're the big baseball fan here. I want your thoughts on this because I got a rant I need to go on.
Well, I think if we're talking about the lockout in general, and yes, I'm smiling right now, which I'm allowed to. Rob Manfred is not. With that being said, it was just it was poorly executed on. I don't want to say both sides. I want to, obviously I back the players and where the players come in here. And I think the owners and Manfred, it was just poor execution and poor timing. And the reason is because the players have been angry for a while now. This has been going on for a little under a year. But, I don't think anyone thought we would reach this point of a lockout, excuse me. And we did. And with that being said, I think it's more so of the players are angry that not much progress has been made at all in the last year. It was like they were kind of inching forward. Mm-hmm. And it's also the owners also not wanting to pay the players, which player pay has actually gone down. Mm-hmm. While team revenue has grown and franchise value has gone up. So it kind of does not make sense in that, sense. You have to pay the players too. And, there's obviously other things too that can be looked at, whether it's service time being manipulated to keep from free agency and arbitration or, other things too. I think another big thing is a luxury tax is, it's, to discourage spending. But it's been acting as a de facto salary cap kind of thing. Too many teams are nowhere near it.
Right.
And with that being said, teams are going to have, because not many teams are near it, teams are having to gut the rosters and slash payrolls. And I think we know from being from Cleveland, obviously the Guardians are a prime example for that over the last couple years.
Even the Pirates.
Even the Pirates as well. Those are two of the main examples, not being these big market teams, not being a Los Angeles team or a New York team or, a Texas team, being one of these big markets, it's not possible in this day and age. And, I think another thing too is, going back to being handled poorly is when you look at how Rob Manfred handled this, and he's like, when this lockout happens, he goes, we're going to jump on this. We don't want, a lockout to happen. It's not good for the game. It's not good for the fans. But then you say that, and then 43 days later is when the first offer happens.
Yes.
So it's like, did you really jump on it? No, you did not. And here's the fact of the matter is, if you jump on it like you say you were, I'm about 95% confident that there is no lockout. And with that being said, it's just – and another reason, too, with Rob Manfred is, if you really look at it, if your players – are calling you a trash commissioner and calling you, and obviously Marcus Stroman is the biggest example of this. We know how big Marcus Stroman is and how active he is on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But with him coming in and calling the commissioner trash, that's saying something. And he's not, obviously, like I said, he's not the only one. And and I just think, I'm just kind of like, okay, like it's kind of getting a little crazy. And obviously, one more thing I want to touch up on real quick is the playoffs. The expanded playoffs, we know the owners want that. The players they want to stay firm. They go from 10 to 12, which I think that is perfect. 14 teams in the playoffs, that's too much. That's too much. And I saw your rant too. I agree with you saying, owners are going to realize they don't have to spend as much. They're not going to have to do as much to make the playoffs because half the league is making the playoffs, okay? And why do the owners want to go to 14 teams? Well, it's because agreeing to it would give the MLB another $100 million from ESPN because they have the television rights for the wild card round and for the divisional round. So it's not – it's all about the money. And, I hate when, guys like, Commissioner Manfred and the owners say, oh, we care about the fans. We want with the fans. No, you don't.
You care about the fans when it comes to you getting your money. You'll
Absolutely.
care about the fans once you get your money. That's it.
And he wonders why baseball is dying. And, obviously I take that to heart as well because I grew up playing the sport. I played through high school. I could have had the opportunity to play in college. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, obviously I'm a big baseball guy. I know what's wrong. I know how. I mean, honestly, it could be improved in so many ways.
There's so many aspects. Like,
yes, and it's easy too. It's not even like you have to work super hard. Like it's simple. Like, okay, like do this or kind of touch up this or that.
I'll give you some here in a minute.
And it's just like there's no effort there at all. And it's just kind of like, okay, what is the goal here, honestly? Manfred's saying, okay, we care about, this. But honestly, what is it that you truly care about? Because it's not the fans. And I think that kind of gets lost in, what we really should be looking at, we should be focusing on here.
So, as you talked about, there was a couple things that you mentioned in what you said that I'm about to get into in this little rant that I have in terms of baseball and what's going on with Major League Baseball. So we're on day 91 of this lockout.
Right.
And what did you say? They jump-started this to make sure we don't get a lockout. What was it? December 1st or December 2nd was when the owners locked out the players. But here's the issue.
Hold on. I just hate to interrupt you, Jeff, but I'm just going to let you know right now. I know we are talking baseball, but as the NFL Combine, I know how you are with Renegade. So the wide receivers are actually running their 40-yard dashes right now. So when you're done kind of talking, if I have a split second or two, I will update you if that is okay with you.
That is okay with me.
Actually, Memphis wide receiver Calvin Austin, who is projected to be a later round pick, just ran a 4.32 40-yard dash. And with an 11.3 broad jump. And actually, as I'm speaking right now, Arkansas wide receiver Treylon Burks is getting ready to do his right now as well. So we'll see what happens. And, obviously in alphabetical order they're going. So Jahan Dotson is up in two players. But please keep going on baseball. Okay. I love the baseball talk.
Well, let's be honest. I don't talk baseball all that much. So it's a little interesting when I do talk baseball. But
absolutely.
The issue that I have with this, and one of the reporters in Robert Manfred's press conference, which I'm going to get into because I have a multitude of issues with that press conference to begin with.
As you should.
So you're meaning to tell me we're on day 91 of this lockout, and in reality, you talk about look at the last 10 days? I guess now, 11 days or something like that? Are you freaking kidding me? Yeah. What the hell were you guys doing beforehand? You guys really look at the last 10 days. Then what about the other 70-something days, 80-something days that were going up beforehand? Were you guys twiddling your thumbs? Oh, Robert Manfred, I pretty much know what you were doing. You were probably practicing your golf swing once again. Which, by the way, you probably still shoot about a 30 over. So, I mean, my God, you practice all that and you're probably still like me. And I just started playing golf last year. So, there's number one. Number two. The owners and Robert Manfred use a manipulation. They use the media to manipulate things. They use a manipulation tactic to talk about saying, this is our final offer, take it or leave it. Because what does that do? What that does is that makes the players now look like they look like they're the issue. They're trying to make the owners look like, oh, this is our offer. They had the chance to take it. No, you knew exactly what you were doing. You knew this offer was not going to be taken. So, again, it's one hand washes the other. You're trying to make yourself look good and make the other side look bad. Again, you know what this is like? This is like a relationship. When you break up with a girl, what are you going to do? You're always going to trash the other person, and they're going to do the same thing. This is exactly what's happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, and when it comes... No, go ahead.
Number three. So you mean, again, you could tell from that press conference he wanted to cancel games from the beginning. You could tell.
Absolutely. 100%.
And why? It's a question I don't think we will ever know. And honestly, that is the most asinine thing to ever think of. Number four. The owner's final offer that they offered barely moved from the previous offer. So, what did you think? Oh, just a tiny little bit more in a big hostile situation was going to change? Oh, yeah, we're going to do it now. We were born, just not yesterday.
Yeah.
I might have tattoos. I don't think I have stupid on my forehead.
Yeah.
Or any of the other players.
100%.
Again, number five, as I mentioned in my rant. You were caught practicing your damn golf swing. My guy, I understand the Masters are coming up. The only thing that you need to master is mastering getting the hell out of being commissioner of baseball, or mastering learning what the World Series trophy is and not it being a piece of metal.
Yeah.
You jackass. Number six. Robert Manfred has done absolutely nothing to the game of baseball and to the fans of baseball the last few years except spit in your face and laugh at you in front of you. Number seven, in his press conference, again, when you were asked about why does it seem like you were only really hard collective bargaining the last 24 to 36 hours before the official cancellation of games, and you go and say, look at the last 10 days? Huh? What?
Yeah.
Are
Right.
you kidding me?
It's embarrassing.
At the end of the day, there are many reasons why baseball is not as popular as it can be. Baseball is a beautiful game. But here's another issue with baseball. Do people that go to these games, especially once you hit June, July, August, are you going because you love the game of baseball, or are you going because it's another way to go and drink beer?
Yeah.
Now, I know there are certain people like you who are going because you love the game of baseball. But there are plenty of people that will just go just for the fact that it's another place to go and just drink beer and have fun.
Yeah, and I think also as well, I think when you kind of look at Manfred and the way that they approach this, and I think there's another way to look at this. And the thing is, we just had the COVID shortened season 2 years ago, two
Yes.
seasons ago. So I mean, that's two years, 2 out of 3 years. We're going to have shortened seasons. We're not going to have full seasons. So what does that mean? We now have two shortened seasons for watching players like Mike Trout, Fernando Tatis, Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, Mookie Betts, Jacob deGrom, and many more great players. I mean, the MLB
Max
is taking
Scherzer,
away.
guys like that who also
Yeah.
could be on the, might slowly being on the tail end of things. Clayton Kershaw. I mean, there's again, and I completely agree with you. And it's so and the way that they handle those things then were asinine. But I want to make this. I want to make this 100% clear though, because I don't want to make it seem like the players are complete victims. It takes two to tango. So yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
I do believe that, yes, the owners have been nothing but greedy bastards, but I also believe that, it takes two to tango, and the players do have something to put into this. You have to put some blame on them. You can't just act like they're complete victims, because they're not.
Right.
But, and then I have a couple ideas that I've talked about, or that I want to talk about how to improve the game of baseball. I want your opinions first. How do you think we can improve baseball?
Oh man, I think there's many ways. I think when it comes to, I think it starts with the youth. Obviously, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, when you look at the kids nowadays, everyone wants to play basketball. Everyone wants to play football.
Real quick, I want to make one point about something. You just made me think of something. When we look at football and when we look at basketball, there's always these, there's always organizations for little kids to go and play those sports that are also being ran through the NFL, being ran through the NBA. Where is that in Major League Baseball? That's one of the biggest issues that I've had, and I actually. I've called into the big radio station here in Cleveland, 92.3 The Fan. I've called into one of the shows on the station, as we're typing this exact thing. And one of the things that I said is there's a multitude of ways to fix the game of baseball. The youth is one of the biggest things. Marketing.
Oh yeah, marketing is huge.
Marketing in today's world. Now, I understand that this player, and I apologize for interrupting you.
No, you're fine. No problem.
So, when we look at this with marketing, what Trevor Bauer was doing is the definition of what more players should be doing. He's marketing the hell out of himself, and now he's become a fan favorite. Now, obviously, I know the allegations that were put on him last year were ugly. Now, as of recently, those allegations have pretty much been dismissed because there was not enough evidence to really prove that he did anything.
Right.
But there was also limitations on what he was able to do then through Major League Baseball. When you go on Instagram during or like for an example during NBA season, look at House of Highlights, look at Bleacher Report, look at ESPN. They're marketing the hell out of the game. You see Ja Morant have a great play, you're going to see it. You see LaMelo Ball have a great play, you're going to see it. If you see, name any other big star or anyone that does something great. Someone gets Joel Embiid when he dunked on Jared Allen. We saw it everywhere. But where is that when, say for an example, Mike Trout robs a home run? Or where is that when Juan Soto is out in the outfield and he makes a beautiful diving play? Or where are those when you see monstrous home runs? When you see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just moonshot one, God knows how far. You see nothing.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite examples is you look at the MLB All-Star game last year. Vladimir Guerrero in Coors Field hit about a 475-foot home run, and when I tell you it was an absolute blast, I mean it was a blast. And I'm like, okay, like this has got to be shown everywhere, and it was not. And And here's the thing, and I think if you watch baseball, if people that watch baseball and watch the other sports agree that playoff baseball is arguably the best playoffs there is, and I will stand by it. I will stand by it by saying playoff baseball is the best type of playoff. The atmosphere is incredible. I mean, it's second to none. I've got to witness playoff baseball in person. I've got to witness playoff basketball in person. And when I tell you playoff baseball blows it out of the water, it's incredible how different it is, and how awesome it is. And I think if people saw that and were like, wow, look at how these true fans react to the game. I mean, it's incredible. And when you look at like playoff series, let's look at the World Series back in 2019, the Nationals and the Astros series. And that was when we saw young Juan Soto kind of step onto the stage and absolutely terrorize Astros pitching. And, he takes Justin Verlander yard after Soto does his little Soto shuffle.
Hold on.
And when he does,
what the hell just happened? Like, both of my screens just, like, completely went. Are we still live? Okay, we're good. I don't know what, my computer just completely glitched. I think we're still good. Everything just, like, what the hell for a second. Let me make sure that we are still good.
Yeah. But, it's like when guys like, Juan Soto, he does his little Soto shuffle against Justin Verlander. And it's like, okay. In NBA terms, people are like, okay, that's like John Morant kind of going at like Steph Curry and saying, like, taunting him and saying, I'm here. And then the next pitch hits a mammoth home run off of him. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
It's guys like Soto. Like Juan Soto at the time, I believe, was only 20 years old.
Yeah.
And
insane.
Doing that against Garrett Cole, who was the best pitcher in the league, arguably, against Justin Verlander, who's one of the best pitchers of all time. And then in the seventh game, Howie Kendrick hitting the game-winning 2-run home run in the top of the seventh inning. I mean, that's almost like that's a Game 7 in the NBA Finals, making a go-ahead shot with about 1:30 left.
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving. It's just like the Kyrie Irving. And I think it's incredible because people don't understand, obviously, how in basketball, how baseball, oh, it's boring. Yeah, it can get boring. It absolutely can. Unless you're a true fan who likes it. And, I'm one of those guys. I can sit and watch a whole baseball game. That's just how I am.
Right.
I'm a true fan. But I can also understand why people think it can get boring from another aspect as well, because it can be. It's not like football where there's action and people are hitting each other. There's always someone throwing a ball, or basketball, there's always someone dribbling up and down the court, or shooting a basket. There's time in between pitches. The ball's not always going to be put in play all the time.
Right.
But there's also other cool aspects as well. I mean, when you look at it, I think people have to learn. You have to teach the younger kids. It's not all about hitting home runs. Of course, hitting home runs is awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. But
this is a big issue.
But can you hit the ball backside? Can you take the ball the other way? Can you throw a curveball that breaks unbelievably? Can you throw a fastball 90 miles an hour and then throw a curveball 70 miles an hour? There's the different aspects of it, which I think people, if they actually watched it, they would enjoy, and it's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, sure. People love ankle breakers in basketball. Well, have you ever seen one in baseball about throwing a curveball and breaking the batter's ankles?
Or for when a player goes down to a knee because of a pitch. They're just like, holy hell. Like, they back so far out of the way, and the ball just ends up being right down the pipe because it's a beautiful slider or, a beautiful whatever pitch. There's so many aspects. And I agree exactly what you said about nowadays everything that happens is either strikeout or home run because of all the launch angle and this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. Can we go back to like how Derek Jeter used to be? For an example, he was a contact guy. He could hit you some home runs, but he was a guy that he's going to put the ball in play, because you know what happens when you put the ball in play? Now you have different fun things. What about stealing bases? And then if something happens when a guy's trying to steal a base, now there's more fun stuff that goes on. There's a lot of stuff that can go on with this. And I want to go back to a point real quick where I talked about marketing. And I've made this point a multitude of times.
Yeah.
When we do, if you ask someone who doesn't know sports or they don't like sports, they don't pay attention to it, they still know the names LeBron James. They know the names Tom Brady. They know the names, Patrick Mahomes, Steph Curry, LeBron. Oh, I think I said LeBron. They know those guys already. But then you ask them, do you know who Mike Trout is? Do you know who Mookie Betts is? Do you know who Shohei Ohtani is? They're going to say no. Right. And that right there is a huge issue. Because you're mean to tell me that you have a player in Mike Trout who could arguably be the best player of all time in baseball, arguably, if not a top player of all time in baseball, and you're meaning that people don't know who he is outside of sports fans? You're meaning to tell me that you have a guy like Shohei Ohtani, that what he's doing is something that we have not seen in such a long time. You mean that players don't know who he is? Or fans don't know who he is outside of baseball fans? Or
it's insane.
It's insane. Why not? Why? We're in a social media era where marketing players is as easy as it can ever be.
Right.
Why the hell not? And don't get me started on the blackout.
Oh, yeah, those
again, one of the many, many issues and many reasons why baseball is on the decline. And I want to ask you a question. I know what your answer is probably going to be, because you're a baseball fan. You love the game of baseball.
Okay.
How big of an impact do you think this is going to have? Just missing games in the last two of the last 3 seasons, we've had shortened seasons and we've had issues. How big of an impact is this going to have on the game of baseball?
Oh, I mean, it's absolutely huge. When you look at it, like we said, having the COVID season, having this season cut short, I mean, I don't think, people are realizing the damage this is doing to the sport and to the game.
You could notice that it was slowly doing this, slowly going up.
Yeah. And, I think it's also, like you said, it's going back to the whole marketing thing. I think the MLB, and you make a great point as well, because I think when it comes to the MLB, the NBA, and the NFL, when you compare those three sports, and here's the thing is, like you said, and this is another aspect of it as well, going back to the marketing, is when you look at the NFL and you look at the NBA, they stay busy during the off season. Mm-hmm. When it comes to marketing, they'll have discussions. Oh, who's better than this guy? Who's better? Or how would this player impact this team? Who does this? I mean, I'll tell you what, the Cleveland Browns season ended 2 months ago. And I haven't gone one day on Twitter without seeing, Baker Mayfield this, Baker Mayfield that.
Oh, yeah, real quick, I do want to mention, Hunter is a Browns fan, so, yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Go Browns, baby.
Hell no.
So
your quarterback got embarrassed on Monday Night Football. You had a whole stadium, 70,000.
Jeff, we can have this conversation another time, okay?
Listen, this is what happens when you're on the Renegade Roundtable podcast.
Or, it's like from your perspective as well. I mean, you look at it from Pittsburgh Steelers. It's like every single day of the off season since the season has been over, it's like, okay, who's going to be the new quarterback? Who is it going to be? This guy? Is it going to be this guy? You know what I'm saying? It's like they stay busy. Like, can we do this? For the MLB, that's not how it goes. Yeah, I mean, the MLB, it's like, the NBA, it's the same way. And here's another thing, too. I think the biggest thing, too, about the offseason, too, is and I think there's multiple aspects the popularity of college football and college basketball as well. College baseball is not popular at all.
No.
The drafts. Everyone watches the NBA and NFL drafts because those guys can make immediate impacts on their teams.
Yes. I mean, hell, look at it this way. Me and Hunter have been covering the NFL draft. I've been covering, this will be my 4th year. This will be his 3rd. I mean, we've done coverage for the NBA draft. Who the hell is really doing coverage for the MLB draft outside of, you have to be a legit diehard baseball fan to do that. The NFL draft and the NBA drafts have become like almost holidays.
Yeah.
The MLB draft, or literally the MLB draft could be going on at any given time. Oh, it's going on? Damn, I didn't even know. And I think that's another issue is just how long. Okay, say you draft with the first pick, the Cleveland Guardians select Hunter Osborne, pitcher from the Ohio State. Cool. I'll see him in 3 or 4 years, if not longer.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, no, maybe not Hunter. Right. We'll see him right away just because he is going to be the best pitcher of all time. But
it's facts. So I'm gonna interrupt you real quick.
Go ahead. Is this our NFL Combine update?
It is. It's our NFL Combine update. I think there's
Sponsored by no one.
I think there's 2 different groups of wide receivers going. I think they're doing it alphabetically. One group. Treylon Burks ran a 4.5 40. It was 4.5 right on the dot. Sky Moore, who is projected to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick.
He's a guy that I've seen some Pittsburgh fans look at possibly for 2nd or 3rd round guy.
4.39 40. Very fast. And then there's Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson ran a 4.41.
Okay.
So pretty fast there. I tell you what, who has not had a good combine so far as it appears has been Treylon Burks.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting too, especially for your team who is looking for a wide receiver. Now, obviously, as you could also tell by the looking over Hunter's left shoulder, as you can see there too, obviously he goes to Ohio State, so obviously there is bias. I am a big Ohio State fan too, so obviously I have bias too.
Brutus.
Yep. And so obviously, but those are legitimate things for you guys. Real quick, just getting off topic, is what are they going to do? Is it going to be a Garrett Wilson? Is it going to be Treylon Burks? I think was a guy that was interesting. Drake London. I mean, there's so many different options.
Yeah, and I know this is a Steelers show, but I'm on it. So it appears that Mac Wilson has scrubbed all of his social media accounts of Brown stuff, and he put the peace emoji on his Twitter.
I do know that Rashard Higgins is going he's bye-bye for you guys as well.
Him and Ronnie Harrison, it seems.
You guys are just all. Well. You guys did this. You guys were already at the bottom, and then you guys did this, and now you're just poverty.
Right, because Mac Wilson, back to poverty.
Your quarterback is not good. Let's be honest. Again, 70,000 fans screaming out. Baker sucks.
If we're just gonna talk football, we might as well get into Mel Kiper's mock draft.
In fact, here while you're at it, I actually did not have this set up, so I completely apologize, everyone. This was unprofessional of me. I'm about to do this right now. I was also working on getting window capture.
What did you do that was unprofessional, Jeff?
I did not have the mock draft stuff ready. So I'm getting that for us right now as we speak. So.
Well, I have it if you want.
Well, I'm also going to put it on screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to put it on screen for everyone.
All right.
So we're going to do this real quick. Again, I do apologize, but we're going to do this on the fly. Okay, now, so let's go ahead and we'll use this one. So yeah, So do you have any more updates for us? Oh yeah, as we're talking about NFL draft stuff, because we are going to get into this, obviously. Obviously, one of the biggest discussions that's been all day is Kenny Pickett in a small hand size, for the NFL draft at least, or in terms of NFL quarterbacks. And that's going to be something that's interesting. Although, if you could throw a football, you could throw a football. And we've seen obviously that he could throw a football. Okay, as my computer wants to be slow as per usual. So, again, I do apologize, everyone. You all could go ahead and roast me. I am not being good right now. Also, just like the Browns' 2021 offense.
No, that's fair.
I mean...
That's fair. I mean, you don't got to take shots at the Browns whenever you can, but I mean, hey.
Oh, you know that's what I do. You know that's what I do. I mean...
Yeah.
All right, so, Mel Kiper's newest mock right here.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting mock draft. I think when you look at it, I mean there's a couple of things in there. Obviously, you and I have both looked at it, and we both kind of reviewed it a little bit. But obviously, getting to do it on air and talk about it more is special. So this will be fun to see where Mel Kiper is heading into the combine. You know, this is like a final pre-combine mock draft, and I'm sure he'll have one out soon as well as post-combine. As I look at the NFL combine right now, that's like the quarterbacks are getting ready to throw, and it looks like Sam Howell, the quarterback from North Carolina, is they're reviewing him and looking at him right now. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of key players. I mean, obviously with our teams, is Pittsburgh going to take a quarterback? If they don't, what are they going to take? And then for us, is it going to be a wide receiver? I think, or if it is a wide receiver, which one is it going to be?
All right, here we go. So I have, as you can see, my computer's being completely slow, so you'll see it kind of zoom in and out for a minute, but it's fun it is. So looking at this mock draft here, number 1 overall, the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Akeem Ekwonu, offensive tackle from NC State.
Yeah, and I like this move for the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially getting Trevor Lawrence some protection. Yes. And here's the thing, too, is he struggled as a rookie. He absolutely did. But there is so much upside with Trevor Lawrence, and that can't be denied. I mean, it just depends. I think the biggest thing, too, is if they bring Cam Robinson back or not.
Which I think, again, and I don't think they're going to. And if that's the case, again, that is just another issue that you're going to need to address.
Yeah, and I think if they don't bring back Robinson, I kind of think this is a no-brainer as well. I think Ekwonu is a very good prospect. He's a
fiery guy. He's a guy that's going to lay the boom.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Obviously, this is a little bit different because we've seen pretty much now it's Evan Neal. Now we've seen Akeem Ekwonu. This is what I love about the draft, about this year's draft. We don't know who's going number 1. There's legitimately
that's fun.
4
I
different
love
options. Number 2 overall, we see the Detroit Lions selecting Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end from Michigan. I think this is kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I do too. And the Lions are in a wonderful spot here, like Kiper says. I mean, they need an edge rusher. I mean, it is desperately needed. And when you get to the spot on the board, I mean, you have, whether it's Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau, you can pick either or. And right now, I do think Hutchinson is the better prospect. So I think this is a clear pick. And staying in Detroit, or staying in Michigan, I should say. I think this is a no-brainer for Detroit.
Yeah, I agree. They're just in one of those positions where you could go and get arguably the best pass rusher in football, and as per usual with ESPN, there's always ads that go on, so we're good there. Number 3. So here we go. The Houston Texans taking Evan Neal, offensive tackle from Alabama here. Now this is so in my mock draft, which here in 2 weeks from today, March 17th, a.k.a. St. Patrick's Day, we're going to be revealing our mock draft, the Renegade Roundtable mock draft 1.0. So this was honestly my first interesting pick that I have. One of those is like, okay, because here he has them going Evan Neal. I can understand maybe why you're thinking that. As he talks about here, are you going to maybe possibly let a guy like Laramie Tunsil go? I personally don't think you should. I personally feel like a defensive guy should go here, honestly. I'm between one of two guys. But I guess understand why you might go Evan Neal, a guy that for the longest time was looking to be the number one overall pick. If you could get him at 3, maybe why not?
Yeah, and I think the Houston pick is a tough one, kind of, going into free agency and kind of going into the draft. Because like you said, you can go offensive tackle here in Evan Neal, but I also don't think you can go wrong with taking a defensive player, with some of the guys like either Kyle Hamilton or Kayvon Thibodeau at this pick. Yep. And I think that's simply put. But with that being said, Houston could be tearing down the roster even further. I mean, you never know. I mean, Laramie Tunsil, I don't know why they would trade Laramie Tunsil, but it could happen. Brandon Cooks, just to get more picks here. And, you might want to take a Evan Neal type guy, which, by the way, Evan Neal at the combine today looked really good.
Yeah.
So I don't think with Houston, with the options that are going to be available based on this mock draft, I don't think you can really go wrong here. But I think I am also torn between Neal and Thibodeau at this point. But I think either or, would be, the right pick.
All right, number 4, we have the New York Jets selecting Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. If this is the case, if this is what's going to happen for the New York Jets, who has another pick coming up, I love this pick. I absolutely love this pick. Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of safeties and first round grades, there's really not that many. He might be the only one. Maybe if there's a riser that pops up. But Kyle Hamilton's a guy. I love him, especially as Mel Kiper talks about. Could possibly lose Marcus May in free agency. And who also is your head coach is Robert Saleh. He's going to love guys, especially because he can lay the boom on you, and he's going to make an impact right away in this defense.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. You got to look at the Jets last year, and their secondary was awful in 2021. And that's the thing. And they could even lose Marcus May in free agency. And like you said, is this maybe a little bit too high to possibly take a safety in this situation? No, I don't believe so at all. Not a safety like Kyle Hamilton, who can make, a massive impact, in many ways. And, if he is at the next level, the versatile playmaker that he was at Notre Dame, then I'll tell you what, the Jets are going to be in good shape, especially with another first round pick, coming up.
All right, so number 5, we have the New York Giants selecting Kayvon Thibodeau, defensive end from Oregon. This is a pick that, again, you can't go wrong with this. Kayvon Thibodeau is projected to probably be the number 1 overall pick going into the 2021 season. He did deal with a little bit of injuries, but again, you gotta love this. Now, my other question is going to be, do they want to go with an offensive lineman here? Now, in this case, in his particular mock draft, you have both the 2 top tackles, Akeem Ekwonu and Evan Neal, off the board. But say if that's not the case, I think they're going to look long and hard at possibly getting an offensive tackle here, or even, and I told this Hunter before the show off air, do not be surprised at all if this would maybe be the first, quote, shocker of the draft, and I'm letting you guys warn this right now, Tyler Linderbaum going number 5 could very well be a possibility.
It is a hot take, and it could be a long shot, but also it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if it happens, you're not surprised, but if it doesn't happen, you're also not surprised as well. But it is a long shot. But in terms of the Thibodeau pick for the Giants, when you look at this pick, I actually think if he's there at 5, I think this is a tremendous pick.
Yes, and I wouldn't
for
be
the
mad at
Giants.
all if the Giants, what Kayvon Thibodeau here. I just also
He'd
think too
be
in
a
terms of.
perfect.
Go ahead.
I think he'd be a perfect fit for the defense. Next to Azeez Ojulari, who led the team with 8 sacks last season. I mean, I think Thibodeau. I mean, he has all the physical tools to be absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So I think obviously if Ekwonu and Neal are gone in this situation, which they are, I think Thibodeau is the pick. But at the same time, the Linderbaum pick is very interesting to say the least. But I think he is going to make wherever he goes, whatever team it is, a very happy team. So.
And again, looking at the Giants here, they're 31st in total. They were 31st in total offense. That's just obviously you're gonna have to figure something out with that.
Right.
And again, then also going back to the tackle situation, if you're gonna look at a left tackle, as we have had
this is more than a race. It's a journey.
ESPN, because of that. God, I'd love doing these. Nate Solder, he's going to be 34 years old here in just in about a month or so. So that's something you're going to want to look at into as well. Number 6, Carolina Panthers selecting Charles Cross. I don't really think this is much of a surprise to us.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, it's kind of a tricky pick though as well because we don't know whether the Panthers are going to take a quarterback.
This is my first pressure point for quarterbacks.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think based on the rankings, though, kind of looking at it, I think this is maybe a little too high for a quarterback. But with that being said,
if you feel that the guy that you're going to draft is going to get you to a Super Bowl, I don't think there's ever such thing as too high. Something I've learned from Mike Mayock.
No, and that's very true. But at the same time, I think you kind of have to make that distinction. Mm-hmm. And I think offensive tackle is the right pick here.
Yeah,
and it is what needs to be done for Carolina. So
especially
if they're not going to take the guy that they think is going to take them to the Super
Bowl. Number 7, the Giants again here, taking Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah here, who's been kind of a riser here. This is something that's going to be interesting as well with them. Again, so in his first, in the first pick, so in this case, he has them going 2 defensive players here. Obviously, we came on Thibodeau, and then here with Devin Lloyd. This is interesting because who also Don Martindale is now the new defensive coordinator for the Giants. Wink Martindale came from Baltimore, and we all know Baltimore loves to get pressure on the quarterback. Now, is this a guy like? Now, I think right now this might be too high, but again, it's the Giants we're talking about. Maybe a George Karlaftis, even though I think he's going to be more of in the 20s. But again, that would be a guy that would fit what they're trying to do here. And then to get Devin Lloyd, a guy who's a sideline guy.
Tomorrow,
as once again,
this is the Batman.
More ads. No matter what you do, they don't stop.
I think with this Devin Lloyd pick here, I mean, obviously the Giants are going all in on improving the front 7. Mm-hmm. But he is a middle linebacker, but he does a lot. We saw that last season at Utah. We saw that. We saw that plenty of times. And when you add some pass rush to this team that desperately needs it, I think their leading sack getter last year was Azeez Ojulari, which was their rookie first round pick, and he only had 8 sacks. So I think getting a guy like Lloyd could potentially turn this defense around, and pairing him with another with an edge rusher and Kayvon Thibodeau and having Ojulari on the other side. I mean, that desperately improves the front 7 for the Giants, who I will say don't have a terrible secondary at all.
No.
So that could be huge for their defense, and I think that would be I like the Devin Lloyd pick.
Yeah. I do too. And plus, his last name is Lloyd. If you're a linebacker with the last name Lloyd, you're doing pretty good. Number 8, the Atlanta Falcons going to take Sauce Gardner. This is interesting to me because, again, as you mentioned here, possibly Gardner over Derek Stingley, which was a guy that was always kind of hovering in the top 5. Now, I also think this one might be a pressure point for a wide receiver because obviously you let go of Julio Jones last off season. You don't know what's going to happen with Calvin Ridley. Are you going to let him go? So if that's the case, maybe wide receiver is someone that you desperately want to look into as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's going to be tricky because it just depends on what they do with Calvin Ridley in this situation. And if they do end up trading Calvin Ridley, I do think wide receiver is a need here. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, I love this pick. I love Sauce Gardner. I think Sauce Gardner is going to be a stud. And you pair him with A.J. Terrell, who had a phenomenal season as well. And you have 2 shutdown corners there in Atlanta now. And, as much as I love this pick, like I said, again, going back to the wide receiver, it all just depends on Calvin Ridley. And for my sake and for my Browns' sake, I'm hoping that wide receiver is not taken.
I was going to say I was just getting ready to say that. In this case, this is a great move. You love this. Your Browns fans are supposed to be clapping right now.
Absolutely.
All right. Uh-oh. The first trade, and it's with your Cleveland Browns, moving up to number 9 with the Denver Broncos. They're selecting Drake London, wide receiver from Southern Cal. The floor is yours.
Okay, so first, I like it. I really do. I think if Andrew Berry feels the need that he has to move up 4 spots to get the wide receiver that he wants in this draft, then I say absolutely do it. 10 times out of 10, you do it because you never know with the New York Jets at 10, possibly taking one. I mean, and even so, and like I said, going back to the previous Atlanta pick, what if they take a wide receiver? It might not be the guy you want. Okay, but that also leaves the Jets open at 10, possibly taking the guy you want. And then at 13, it's like, okay, if my top 2 guys are potentially gone, then what are we doing here? So if you have to trade up to 9 to get the guy you want, I'm 100% with it. Now, with that being said, trading up to 9 in this situation, perfectly fine with it. Personally, am I taking Drake London at 9? I'm not taking Drake London at 9. Drake London, I do like Drake London. Coming in, 6'5", he actually measured in at the combine at 6'3". So kind of weary there. He wasn't obviously closer to 6'4". With that being said, I think we all know who I want at this pick. Obviously being biased here as an Ohio State Buckeye, but also being non-biased as well, as I also think he is the most complete wide receiver in the draft. It is myself. So no, it's Garrett Wilson, and I absolutely love Garrett Wilson. And I'm going to tell you something else, Jeff, and this might be my Ohio State bias. I'll also creep it in. I wouldn't mind Chris Olave in this spot either. I think I want one of the 2 Ohio State wide receivers, and me personally. You and I have had many talks about the NFL draft over the last couple months.
Me and him talk draft every day.
Every day, every single day. And, Jeff, obviously you mentioned it, when you were telling everyone about me, we're best friends and we're brothers. This is all we talk about all day, every single day. We talk NFL draft stuff, football stuff.
And here's something, too. Again, I'll give you guys a little bit of news. I plan on starting to stream some Madden. You know who you'll probably see a decent amount of? Is this guy right here. You're going to start hearing this guy's voice a lot, too. This is honestly, again, me and him cover the NFL draft. We've been doing it now for a few years. It's just what we do. It's
now, obviously, like I said, I want Wilson, but in this case, Drake London is the pick. So with that being said, Drake London is 6'4". he's a great threat down the field. He has the traits. I mean, honestly, he has the traits to be an incredible weapon. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he broke his right ankle in late October. So there's obviously some concerns there. He's supposed to come back healthy.
I was gonna say it seems like he's gonna be he should be all right here soon. So
yeah, and obviously Cleveland needs to prioritize a pass catcher in this draft. I mean, we only had one receiver with more than 35 catches last year, and that's insane. That was obviously Jarvis Landry, who we don't even know is going to be on the team next year.
Right. Well, because here's the thing with Jarvis Landry is he says he wants to be back with the Browns. Sounds like he only wants to be back with the Browns if he's going to be making his $16 million. The Browns,
absolutely.
Hell no. You're not paying that. And especially when your leading receiver in yards last year was David Njoku with 400-something. When Baker Mayfield being in the situation that he is, you want to give him as many possible weapons as possible.
Yeah, and I think, in terms of the Browns season last year, kind of going back to it, I mean, I think everyone thought, okay, the questions were going to be on the defensive end. The offense was just going to thrive, right? And that's not what happened. It was the opposite that happened. It was the defense that thrived and the offense that has the major questions. Yes, I know Baker Mayfield was awful last year. He dealt with injury. Coming back next year, do I think Baker Mayfield is going to be a good NFL quarterback? I do. I seriously do. I believe in Baker for next year when he is fully healthy. When he is fully healthy and in this system, I mean, he's shown that he can thrive. Okay, and you see the weapons he had in that 2020 season where he did thrive, right? And it's like you just add to that by bringing in a Garrett Wilson or a Drake London type player. The Browns are going to do big things, and
big things are not going from 8-9 to 9-8 and still not making the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of funny. It's when you look at it though, with all the drama that has come out of last season, I think winning eight games, were we 8-9? Was that a record? I think winning.
He's a Browns fan. You don't even know what record you were.
Jeff, dude, I've put this season so far behind me already. It was just, I knew we were 8-9 or 9-8. I couldn't remember. But I think winning 8 games with all the drama that happened, all the stuff that happened, I applaud it. So if we can get healthy for next year, I think we'll be okay. And I'm actually going to interrupt you real quick with some news. It appears Aaron Rodgers will be returning to the Green Bay Packers.
All right. So
it's not official, but it says around the league, it said that is the narrative or the notion that is being shown right now that he is.
So I should be deleting my Aaron Rodgers Pittsburgh Steeler?
Yes, Jeff, that is the one quarterback out of the 73 that you have jersey swapped that will not come to Pittsburgh.
I have quite a few. I even have a Baker Mayfield one in my phone just for the shits and giggles.
That's terrible. That is awful.
All right. We are definitely going to be going a little bit over because we're at 6:57 and we're only on pick 10, so we're definitely going to be going over here a little bit, which is fine. Yeah. Real quick, number 10, the Jets taking Tyler Linderbaum here again. So this is the highest that we've seen him. Again, goes back to what we talked about with the other Giants team. Okay, there we go. It's interesting to think about. So they go defense with their first pick, and then they get offensive line with the second pick here. It's interesting, and I don't really have an issue with it. Yeah,
I don't either. I think it'd be a great pick for the Jets here, getting Zach Wilson some protection. And honestly, Linderbaum was one of the best center prospects in the past decade. I mean, he can play any spot at a high level. So I think this would be a great pick for the Jets.
Yeah. All right, number 11. The Washington Commanders are beginning their, I guess, new team name with drafting Mr. 8.5. No, I'm just kidding. With Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pitt. So this is the first quarterback off the board here. And this was obviously, as a team for me, who was looking for a quarterback, Washington was as a team that I'm very well watching out for. Because I think right now for them, is it going to be Kenny Pickett? I'm not necessarily believing that's going to be Matt Corral here. I think in reality it's going to come down to either Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett here. And obviously here he's going Kenny Pickett here. I think, in my opinion, probably the most NFL ready quarterback right now. So, but we'll have to see. And this is going to be a very interesting piece coming out for them.
Yeah, and I think when you look at Washington, I think obviously in this situation too, where it's not a quarterback heavy draft, teams are going to reach. And I think 11 is kind of high for Pickett? Absolutely. I think it is. I think 11 is a little high for quarterback. But like you said, if you're a team like Washington who needs a starting quarterback, who needs that franchise guy, and you kind of look at this and you're like, okay, well, and like you said, if you think he can take you to the Super Bowl, absolutely do it. You know what I'm saying? And Tyler Heineke, now I love Taylor Heineke. I think what he has done over the past few years in Washington, what he has come from, what he's been able to do, I admire it. But he's not a franchise quarterback.
No.
So I think Kenny Pickett is the right pick here. Kenny Pickett is not my QB1, but if you go with Kenny Pickett here, I don't think it's a bad pick at all, especially for a team that needs a quarterback so bad.
All right, so number 12 here, the Minnesota Vikings selecting Derek Stingley Jr., corner from LSU. I like this pick here a lot for Washington. Trent McDuffie is a guy that's going to be to watch out for, also the corner from Washington. But I also think here Patrick Peterson and Mackenzie Alexander are both scheduled to be free agents here, and they're going to need some corners, and this guy is going to be a stud for years to come.
You ever heard the term just keep swinging until you finally hit, no matter how much you miss?
Yeah.
It's kind of what this comes from with Minnesota. I mean, we've seen them obviously in the last couple of years take some swings at corner or secondary in the first round, and they've just missed. But that, like I said, that shouldn't stop you. And obviously Stingley falling to 12, in my opinion. If you can get Derek Stingley at the number 12 pick, I think that's a steal.
You have to trust LSU defensive backs. I mean, we've seen this.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, look at some of the guys. Obviously, we all know that Ohio State is DBU. We all know that. But
yeah, but how could you not look at LSU studs like Greedy Williams and Grant Delpit? I mean, absolute studs. I mean, that just shows right there. I mean, incredible players.
All right. Moving on, number 13, the Denver Broncos here. Obviously, it's originally the Cleveland Browns pick. The Denver Broncos selected Jermaine Johnson, the second defensive end from Florida State. Another riser here that we're starting to see. He dominated at the Senior Bowl. And, again, with Von Miller, he's gone now. Bradley Chubb's had issues staying on the field. So why not go and get yourself another stud pass rusher? And I feel like this is something that they're really going to need in Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Johnson's one of the biggest risers. I mean, he dominated the Senior Bowl. And like you said, I mean, Bradley Chubb does have injury issues.
They need a guy that's going to go after Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Justin Herbert.
Absolutely. And I think Johnson will be huge. And I'm going to make a free agency prediction right now, and that kind of ties in with the Broncos. I think Von Miller returns to Denver. Just kind of a weird hunch there. But, I mean, with that being said, you get Von Miller back, possibly, Bradley Chubb, Jermaine Johnson. I mean, very, very well. Like we said, Johnson, one of the biggest risers, obviously dominating the Senior Bowl. So I like this pick for Denver.
Right.
So.
All right, so number 14, we have a projected trade here with the Saints and the Baltimore Ravens here. Now, something to talk about here real quick with this trade. We all know that Eric DeCosta and the Baltimore Ravens are not afraid to trade back. And especially, in my personal opinion, with a lot of others, we believe that this is where Tyler Linderbaum was originally going to go, but he's gone. So they're thinking, all right, why not just trade back? We'll acquire some extra picks here. And then you have the Saints that are coming up. And we're thinking, okay, this is going to be a quarterback here. Are they going to go and take a Matt Corral or someone? No, it's Garrett Wilson here.
And I love this pick so much it hurts. Obviously,
the New Orleans Saints drafting another Ohio State player. It might as well be called the New Orleans Buckeyes.
literally, and another Ohio State wide receiver as well. Garrett Wilson, Michael Thomas together. I mean, I love this pick so much for the Saints. I think a quarterback could potentially be in play here.
Oh, I thought it was almost a guarantee.
Yeah. So I mean, it just depends, what happens. And I think when you look at this pick, I think what happens with Wilson is, it just depends because, obviously their quarterback situation. You can have Garrett Wilson, you can have Michael Thomas in these spots, but it's like, okay, who's going to play quarterback? Will they bring Jameis
Hill to play quarterback? I don't think they're going to bring back Jameis Winston. I don't think that's the case. So
I don't think so either. So we'll see. But I mean, just in terms of overall talent and who he is, I love Garrett Wilson. I think this is a great pick.
Number 15, the Philadelphia Eagles, with one of 3 first-round picks that they have. They go with a guy that I just mentioned not too long ago, Trent McDuffie, corner from Washington here. This is a team that they need some corners. Steven Nelson's a guy he's slated to be a free agent here. I'll give you guys one quick spoiler. I also have Philly at number 15 taking Trent McDuffie in my mock draft. I'll give you guys one spoiler there. And I think, honestly, if you could pull this out right, the Philadelphia Eagles could get better really quick if you can execute on these. And we have, if I'm not mistaken, the last time we've seen a team have 3 first-round picks and was the Raiders in 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and when you look at a team, like the Eagles that allowed quarterbacks to complete almost 70% of their passes last year, which ranked last in the NFL, McDuffie didn't allow a single touchdown in coverage over the past 2 seasons in college. You can play him opposite of Darius Slay. And he also has the ability to play out of the slot as well. So I think this could be, a very good pick for the Eagles. And obviously with 2 other first-round picks, I mean, they have the ability to get a lot better, I shall say, on the defensive side, in this draft. And obviously, they have one coming up right now. So,
well, speaking of Philadelphia, they have back-to-back picks here. And they're going with an outside linebacker / defensive end, David Ojabo, from Michigan here. Again, they're addressing another need that they have. They're going after, in this case, they're going to get your help in the secondary. Now you're going after getting a guy that's going to go after the quarterback. I think this is an interesting pick here. Obviously, David Ojabo, they have him listed as an offside linebacker, so you're thinking more of a 3-4-4. But obviously, he could put his hand in the dirt, and I think this is an interesting pick here. But again, you're helping out your defense tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles ranked 31st in the league with 29 sacks last season, so they have to get better there. And Ojabo is just an interesting pick in general because he has a wide range of where he can go. I mean, we've seen Ojabo possibly go in top 10. You possibly see him go in late first round. So you never know with a guy like David Ojabo, but I think the middle of the first is perfect for him. And I think this would be a great pick for the Philadelphia Eagles.
So number 17, the Los Angeles Chargers selecting Trayvon Walker, defensive end from Georgia here. Now, my personal opinion on this, I feel like more of a need for them would be a guy like Jordan Davis. I think they're a guy that need some help on the in terms of the interior defensive line. They allowed 4.6 yards per carry last year. That's 28th in the NFL. And I think now if you want to go with the guy that could play on the opposite side of Joey Bosa, that's fine. Or you could go with kind of maybe how I'm thinking is maybe have a guy that could help stuff the middle, stuff the run, and improve that awful, awful run defense that the Chargers had last year.
Yeah, and that's exactly what.
And also, Linval Joseph is also slated to be a free agent as well.
Yeah, and Trayvon Walker is a very, very good run defender. He also does have some pass rush ability as well. But like you said, you point out the run. They were terrible in the run. How do I know? Because I watched Nick Chubb run all over them. And I believe week 5. I don't care that we lost that game, Jeff. Don't tell me that.
I wasn't even going to say that.
Okay. I thought that's exactly.
We lost to them too. So, I mean, how much can I say?
I was gonna say I thought that's exactly where you were going. I saw your eyes light up.
No.
But no, I think I like the Trayvon Walker pick for the Chargers. I also don't think you could go wrong with Jordan Davis here either. But I do prefer Walker, so I think this would be a good pick for the Chargers that need help with their run defense.
All right. So for the both of us, a division rival, Baltimore Ravens going and selecting Trevor Penning, offensive tackle from Northern Iowa here.
Yeah, well, you see, Jeff, this isn't really a division rival for the Browns because, we just kick ass every single year. So, not really a rival.
You couldn't even say that with a straight face.
But yeah, when you look at the Ravens pick here at 18, it should be offensive line. Absolutely. There's no ifs, ands, or buts here. If somehow Tyler Linderbaum falls to 18 here, this would be a home run pick.
In this case, because you got to remember they're at a trade back situation. They would originally have 14, so. Yeah,
so, if he's there at 14, that's going to be a home run pick. You just got to get protection for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So, I like this pick for Penning. He played left tackle for Northern Iowa. But if Ronnie Stanley does return healthy,
and then you got to think, too, they're also good. They're giving the boot to Alejandro Villanueva. So.
Oh, I don't think they should. For our sakes.
Yeah, I love the thought of just having either Myles Garrett or T.J. Watt just going one-on-one with Alejandro Villanueva. Oh, that's just wonderful. See, I gave your guy props too.
Yeah.
Number 19, the third and final first-round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I also think that there's a possibility that they could possibly trade one of these back or trade one of these if there's a team that's trying to move up. So I think that's something to watch out for as well. But Treylon Burks here from Arkansas. I personally don't have much of an going wide receiver. Their wide receivers were really all not that good. You have Devontae Smith, but Jalen Reagor, what has he done? He has been terrible. Remember, if you want to, we did a lot when we in the 2020 NFL draft when we were covering it. All of our reactions were like, "Huh?"
Yeah, I personally love this pick for the Eagles, and like you said, they drafted Devontae Smith last year, and they used their first two picks on things that they needed help with: the pass rush and the secondary. You draft Ajabo for the pass rush. You draft Trent McDuffie at corner to help, and then you kind of go over to the offensive side of the ball. You have Dallas Goedert at tight end. You have Devontae Smith, who you drafted last year. You have Miles Sanders at running back when you use him. So why don't you get someone that can complement Devontae Smith's speed, and you take Treylon Burks in this situation, who, like the article says, is a different type of wide receiver for Jalen Hurts. So that's why I like this pick for Philadelphia, and I think Burks at 19 would be a bargain. So with that being said, I'm going to take the next pick. Or I will introduce the next pick so I can let you have the floor after this. So with the 20th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers do take Malik Willis, the quarterback from Liberty. I'm going to give my opinion real quick. I love this pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Malik Willis is going to be a stud. Obviously Steelers fans aren't going to be happy unless his name's Ben Roethlisberger. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways.
You're not wrong, honestly. Let's be honest. You're not wrong. And I've tested this theory.
And, obviously, with Willis, scouts at the Combine have been thrilled with him. So I think that's a big plus, too, which, honestly, that means he might not be here for Pittsburgh at 20. But if he is here for Pittsburgh at 20, Jeff, go for it.
So, obviously, we know that the Steelers need a quarterback. We know we've been talking about this ad nauseum for a while now. Since the moment we got our cheeks absolutely obliterated by the Kansas City Chiefs in a wild card game. This is something that we've talked about. For me, you have the heir apparent to Ben Roethlisberger with Kevin, and this is also Kevin Colbert's final draft. So why not go out and get the franchise quarterback? Similar to what happened with Ozzie Newsome with Baltimore when he traded back up to get Lamar Jackson. I personally, again, I love this pick. Hell, there was a video that came out of just showing who his character is. He was helping out a homeless man, gave him some gear without anyone knowing. It just goes to show. Now, I do think that there is going to be a little bit of development from him. His 2021 tape was not the greatest, especially down the stretch. There were multiple games where he had 3 interceptions. But obviously, in terms of his running ability, he's a guy that you love. So it's going to be interesting, especially when you talk about what Kevin Colbert was looking for versus what Mike Tomlin was looking for. Mike Tomlin was looking for mobility. That's something that he's talked about. Kevin Colbert's more looking for accuracy. If you're looking for mobility, this is the guy that you want. It's going to be real interesting. And we've already seen through the Senior Bowl that it seems like that they are in love with Malik Willis. So we will see and find out.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think this would be a great pick for Pittsburgh, and I'd be completely jealous. So,
because then that would mean that Baker Mayfield is the last quarterback. And
No, because when Baker Mayfield wins the Super Bowl next year,
here we go.
He'll be the best quarterback in the division.
Yeah,
so
sure. All right, number 21, the New England Patriots taking Arnold Ebiketie. I can't pronounce.
I was waiting.
I was gonna say that's something I'm gonna have to learn how to pronounce a little bit before that day. Defensive end from Penn State. It's the New England Patriots. You never truly know who the hell they're gonna go for. I personally think they're gonna go corner. I think this is a guy like Kyler Gordon, the corner from Washington. I think this is where he might come into play. And obviously with the news of J.C. Jackson, who might be out in New England, I think they're going to want to continue. I mean, they had the second best pass defense in the NFL. I also wouldn't be surprised if they were to go after a wide receiver here. Maybe get Mac Jones a weapon. I think right now we're starting to head into Chris Olave territory. Another name that we have not mentioned yet, a guy who was injured, who seems to be ahead of schedule, is a Jameson Williams.
J-Mo.
He's a guy that, I think we're starting to get into territory for them.
Absolutely.
Number 22, the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Nakobe Dean, inside linebacker from Georgia. I personally feel like I can see them going. I wouldn't be shocked here. I also feel like this is wide. I kind of get this gut feeling they should go wide receiver here.
Yeah, I agree. But I also do like the Nakobe Dean pick. Obviously, the coaches of Georgia raved about his leadership skills. He's a dominant off-ball linebacker. And it looks like the Raiders need leadership, honestly, with everything that's gone there. So I think, obviously needing linebacker, I do like the Nakobe Dean pick. But like you said as well, I think wide receiver could be very well in play here too, whether it's Chris Olave or it's Jameson Williams, one of those guys as well. So,
right.
So I think I like the pick at 22, though, for the Raiders.
All right, so number 23, the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to select Chris Olave, wide receiver from the Ohio State, too sweet. Now, this is interesting here. I like the pick because, again, I like Chris Olave because I like Ohio State. However, I have a different philosophy on this. I'm thinking right now I would kind of be leaning towards maybe a guy like George Karlaftis here. Reason being, J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones they're both getting old. J.J. Watt, as much as we all love him, he has a hard time staying on the field. So why not go and get yourself a guy that can get to the quarterback and a guy who is relentless. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. But I could also understand trying to give Kyler Murray as many weapons as possible, especially when you still have DeAndre Hopkins there.
Yeah, and here's the tough thing, when it comes to this pick for Arizona, because you look at
hot take. There's one position that we have not talked about, the running back position. I don't think there's a running back that's going to go in the first round. However, there's one team that's going to go after a running back, I think. Actually, I lied. There's two teams. I think it's either going to be the Arizona Cardinals or the Buffalo Bills. That's a hot take.
It is a hot take because I don't believe they will go running back here. I do like what you said about Karlaftis, because like you said, J.J. Watt is getting old. Chandler Jones is not going to be an Arizona Cardinal next year. That was kind of announced today that he's most likely not going to return. So that immediately becomes a need to replace him. But with that being said, you look at them taking Olave. Andy Isabella requested a trade. A.J. Green is a free agent. Christian Kirk might not be back either. So that just leaves you there with Rondale Moore and DeAndre Hopkins. So Chris Olave might not be a bad pick here.
Yeah.
So, I think you can't go wrong with Olave or with Karlaftis, which, speaking of the devil.
The next pick, the Dallas Cowboys selecting George Karlaftis from Purdue here.
Home run.
I personally feel like this is a great pick. This is one of their biggest needs that they have. This is a guy that you could build with Micah Parsons, because Micah Parsons was a guy that he kind of had to play more of a pass rusher kind of role just because of the injuries that they had. So this kind of allows Micah Parsons to roam around a little bit more, do what he needs to do out in coverage, and roam sideline to sideline. And then you get a guy like George Karlaftis who is relentless. And I feel like this would be a great pick for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be incredible if Karlaftis is still there at 24 and they're able to pick him. And like you said, going back to Mike Parsons, we all know the year he had was absolutely tremendous. And like you said, it allows him to roam the field a little bit more and, allows Karlaftis to step right into that D-end role. So I think this would be a slam dunk pick for the Cowboys, who just keep getting better on defense. So,
All right. Number 25, the Buffalo Bills selecting Devontae Wyatt, a defensive tackle from Georgia. This is interesting as well because, again, I gave you guys a hot take on possibly the running back. Now, again, it's a hot take for a reason. But I like this idea. Interior defensive line is a need for them. And I don't have an issue with this pick, honestly, at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't either. I think
pair up with Ed Oliver.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the Buffalo defense just gets better. Obviously, I don't think there's a lot they need to do on offense. Obviously a running back I think would be nice. But, also you kind of look at it. Devin Singletary the last couple weeks of the season played very, very well. Not saying he's a franchise running back or anything like that, but he played good enough, I should say. And honestly, probably better than that to keep his starting role at running back unless, maybe second round they go someone or sign someone in free agency. But
I'm gonna give you a steaming hot take.
Can I guess it?
I think you know where I'm going with this.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Hit me.
McCaffrey or Barkley?
Barkley.
Oh, dude, if they landed Barkley, oh my goodness.
Even though McCaffrey feels like that'd be more of a Buffalo Bills kind of running back,
Sam Howell's just nice deep ball.
Interesting. Baker Mayfield 2.0. And that's not
he's gonna be good.
That's just honest. That's the truth. Tennessee Titans selecting Jahan Dotson, wide receiver from Penn State, is a guy that we talked about a little bit earlier. I personally
Garrett Wilson only had a 34-inch vertical.
Yeah, that's something that's a little interesting.
That is interesting because everyone's like, "Oh wait, no, they fixed it. It's a 36-inch vertical."
Okay,
there we go, 2 inches. There we go. 2 inches is big, Jeff.
I'll say for people like you, that might be a lot.
It makes a huge difference. So,
God, but yeah, looking for this honestly, Julio Jones. You can't trust him to be on the field.
No, not at all. And when you have a guy like A.J. Brown, you got to find someone that can be dynamic next to him. And honestly, I like the Dotson pick. I think Dotson arguably has the best hands in this draft.
Look at the catch that he had in 2020 against us.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I watched him up close and personal this year at Ohio State. I got to see him live.
Congratulations to you and all your success.
And he's incredible. You just watch him and it's like, okay, it's like right away who he is, where he's at, because he's always making plays.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big fan of the Jahan Dotson pick. My dream, honestly, is for us to take Garrett Wilson at 13 and have Jahan Dotson somehow slip to the second round and have us take him there too. because I love John Dotson as a prospect. I think he's going to be very good.
Yeah. So here, number 27, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now this becomes a more interesting pick, and now this really starts to make more sense here. Tampa Bay take a Zion Johnson, guard/center from Boston College. For me,
Yeah.
I love, one of the places that I trust with offensive linemen is Boston College. And with Ali Marpet going into retirement, kind of random, or not random, but kind of a shocker there. Ryan Jensen's also possibly an interesting situation, so you're going to need a little bit of help on the interior offensive line. And so for the second draft in the last 3 years, they go after an offensive lineman here. And again, I think this is going to be a slam dunk pick for him. If we did not allow single QB pressure, much less a sack in 2021.
Yeah, I think with the Buccaneers, with the sudden retirement of their best player and Ali Marpet, I think you have to go. I think you have to fill that hole. I mean, with his retirement, that's the biggest retirement to hit their team. You have to fill that hole right away. Other than that, I just, it's not someone.
And then some other random guy named Tom retired.
Some guy named Thomas Brady retired, whatever. No, but I think this is a good move for the Buccaneers, and you got to fill Marpet. Depending on what happens, at the quarterback position, Kyle Trask time. So
you never know. Speaking, we were talking earlier about Aaron Rodgers. Oh boy, let it fly! Because with the 28th pick, the Green Bay Packers are selecting Jameson Williams.
If I'm Aaron Rodgers and I see this mock draft and this is the pick, I'm heading back to Green Bay right this very moment. Because if you give me Devontae Adams and Jameson Williams, there's MVP number 3 in a row coming to Green Bay. I love Jameson Williams, former Ohio State Buckeye.
Can we talk about real quick how Jameson Williams could be a first-round pick, and he was a Fred Biletnikoff Award finalist, and he couldn't even sniff the field at Ohio State?
That is insane. And that's not even a testament. That's not even a shot at Williams. No. It's just how great the wide receiver room at Ohio State was. And I love Jameson Williams. I love watching him play, his breakaway speed, his ability to catch passes, how explosive he is. I think Jameson Williams is going to be a stud in the NFL. And if you pair him with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, the NFL is in for a long couple of years.
Yeah. Number 29. Now, this is a pick that this sounds like a Miami Dolphins pick. Taking Bernard Raymond, offensive tackle from Central Michigan. I'm questionable on this pick. He's a guy that he really does not have much experience at offensive tackle. He was a converted from tight end. Really has not had the great. He looked bad in the Senior Bowl. It's going to take him some time to develop. I personally would stay away.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when it comes to it, I think, it's just tough, though, because obviously the Dolphins have had trouble with, Austin Jackson at tackle. And, I think that is one of their biggest needs right now. It's tough when you get to this part of the draft, and it's like, okay, there's no clear cut, how do I say it?
There's not a guy that you feel like
it's just like a slam dunk home run pick, unless one of those other guys fall.
TJ Watt.
Okay.
I had to do it to you.
But I think possibly, if you, like you said, I think if he's what Miami needs, get more protection for Tua. So therefore, I think you might have to do it there, even if you don't think he's ready. We'll see.
Number 30, the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Boye Mafe. I believe that's how you pronounce it. If not, I've completely butchered it, and I do apologize.
Oh boy,
Huh?
I said, oh boy,
Very funny.
Okay. That was so funny. I could barely keep my composure.
So the Kansas City Chiefs. I do apologize, guys, too. I have not had the chat up for a little bit, so if you guys have been commenting, I do sincerely apologize. So yeah, this pick with the outside linebacker, why not boost up the defense? There's not really all that much that they need to fix, but I think defense, especially, was something they need to work on. So why not? Why not go and get yourself?
Oh God, they don't. Well, here's the thing too, and I also wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City would go wide receiver in this situation.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yes, you have Tyreek Hill. Josh Gordon did nothing.
I was gonna say, well, also Tyreek Hill's also slated to get a hefty pay raise.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree with Justin though. Kind of looking at the chat, the Browns take Bofa T. I think that is incredible. What a great pick. Andy's in there. Who are these dudes? I don't know. Andy. Who do they have the Browns taking? They have the Browns trading up from 13 to 9 to take Drake London.
Yep.
So that was pretty interesting.
All right. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here. Speaking of gritty, because we also have the master of the gritty, Jamar Chase. Number 31, the Cincinnati Bengals selecting Kyler Gordon, corner from Washington. I hate this pick because that means they get rid of Eli Apple. Damn it.
I was about to say the same thing. And, yeah, I mean, this is a good pick for Cincinnati, who needs to bolster their secondary up a little bit. You can't have Eli Apple, starting over there again. He's just going to get torched. So I do like the Kyler Gordon pick.
Keeps the championship away.
I could see Kyler Gordon going higher than this.
Yes.
I
think 21. 10 picks higher.
Yeah.
New England.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kyler Gordon, I think this would be a good pick for Cincinnati. And as they're gearing up to make another run for the,
All right. And with the last pick of the first round, the Detroit Lions have another first-round pick. And, oh, boy, we have ourselves another quarterback here with Matt Corral going to the Detroit Lions.
And here we go at 32, taking him as well. Like you've mentioned to me before, what does taking a quarterback at pick number 32 do? It gives him that extra year.
Yep, and extra year of contractual control.
And that's huge here. And obviously, we know the Lions aren't going to stick with Jared Goff forever. So you take a shot on a guy like Matt Corral here, who I think Matt Corral potentially could go higher than this too. And honestly, and that's the thing with quarterbacks in a draft like this, where quarterbacks aren't, huge, because it's like, okay, it's like, there's so many different places that they can go. And, if Matt Corral is there at 32, if I'm the Detroit Lions, I think I'm jumping all over it. You take a chance on a guy like Matt Corral. Obviously with your first pick, you kind of,
you get the most important position on defense, and then you go and get the most important position on offense.
Yeah, you get your guy in Aiden Hutchinson, and it's like, okay, now the defense does still need some work. It does. It absolutely does. But with that being said, you draft Matt Corral. He sits behind Jared Goff. He might even come in and play. I like this pick. I think Corral has the potential to go higher.
I'm looking at number 18 originally with the New Orleans Saints. I think that's kind of my territory of where I'm really looking at Matt Corral. And you talked about quarterbacks. There's also 3 quarterbacks that are also in this class, too, that were kind of a part of the Big Six that have not been drafted yet. And Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, and Carson Strong.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But other than that...
Dustin Crum.
You said what?
Dustin Crum's out here throwing dots.
Hey. But other than that, I think that is about it. We went 30 minutes over than what we usually do, but it is what it is. We had fun here. Hunter, I do say thank you so much for coming on with me.
Always, Jeff. Anything for you, Jeff.
Oh, how adorable. But until then, I hope to see you. Like I said, as soon as we get done here, I'm gonna work on possibly getting this live stream stuff set up for Madden. If that is the case, I'm definitely gonna try to stream tonight. So, hope to see you guys then. And until then, If you haven't yet, like, comment, subscribe. We're 15 subscribers away from 300. So I'm going to penetrate for you to subscribe right now. I am penetrating my head to you to go subscribe.
Jeff. Jeez, Jeff. And Jeff, we're ending on that note.
And until then, hope to see you then. Stay safe. Go subscribe. All that. Follow us. You can go and follow Hunter. I have his Twitter right under him. You go follow me on Twitter too. Until then, hope to see you in the next video. Or next stream. Stay safe. Peace out.
Heck yeah.
Hell with the Browns.